Welcome everybody to Homies and Houses. I am so excited for today's guest. We have Ken Barton here, the creator of Offa, and we will let Ken. Why don't you just get into it? What is Offa? When did you create it? Why did you create it? Just tell us everything.
Sure. Well, Rachel, Alana, thank you for inviting me on here. Offa is a platform to connect buyers and sellers of off-market real estate. And both of you are real estate investors, so you guys understand that very often off-market deals can be really attractive from a cost basis. Often they're less expensive and they're cheaper. They reward investors like us who take risks to go rehab properties. And how I know this is I spent a decade in sales. So, I had read all about real estate. I did the thing. I'm sure you guys did the exact same journey of rich dad, poor dad. And then you start going down the list. You join Bigger Pockets. You go to the RIA events and all these things.
Yep.
My problem personally actually was always that I didn't have enough money. The sales is a constant, I call it an elliptical. Oh, you make commission, oh, taxes, commission, taxes. And that was my personal nightmare of making money and always trying to live below my means, but never really succeeding. And then in 2020, this is a funny story, but I did a contract for a professional athlete. Can't say who it is, NDA, but I made $180,000 in a week, selling a consulting contract. And I was like, I have money now. I have real money, not just 10, 20, 30K here and there. I have real money to go invest. And that's what started my real estate journey in 2020. And today I own 56 stores. I've been investing for 8 years. But to be very honest, I focus all my energy on Offa because as a real estate investor, I made more money buying off-market deals than anything else. Anything on market, I always did better there. So that was very powerful for me. But my challenge and the reason why we built Offa was finding them and connecting with wholesalers. Alana, Rachel, I don't know how often, you got to take a guess. How many wholesalers do you think exist in the world right now, in the United States?
I feel like there's a lot. In the Facebook groups that I'm on, there's a lot of wholesalers.
200,000.
What do you think? Okay, that's a really good guess, Alana.
So I met lower, and then I could tell it was pretty high, so I heightened my answer. But
there's no way to actually know because there's no registration, and Alana, Rachel, you could decide, hey, I found a good deal, I'm going to wholesale it to a friend. There's no way to actually track it down. But I paid $1,000 to sit down with Ryan Pineda and just have a conversation with him, and he said to me, he's like, Ken, it is about 200,000 wholesalers nationwide, and it's constantly oscillating, probably 10, 20%. People just quit or their business blows up because they spend so much money on Facebook ads. But generally, I'm pretty proud that Offa has more than 1,000 wholesalers using our platform every month. So we have a ton of deals coming through, but it's a very long way to say I built Offa to solve my own problem, which is I wanted to find more off-market deals, bring them to me, and then, help me make more money on them.
I love that because you were just you see a problem in the market. So when I watch Shark Tank, right? I'm like, why didn't I think of that? That is a problem, but you actually did something about it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to do this to help me, and hopefully can help other people along the way. But a real person in the industry saw the hole and you filled it. So I love that.
True.
I love the app. So
I appreciate that a lot. Well, let me give you. I want to tell you, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Let me tell you, some of the bad stuff of building your own platform like this. Alana, you've used it before. Rachel, have you signed up for Offa yet?
I have not, no, but I'm going
canceled.
to after.
Boot her off. Get her off the call immediately. I'm sorry, canceled. No, I'm just kidding. So the thing is, Offa is a platform to connect buyers and sellers. And just like Zillow or any other major connection marketplace, we can't really charge people. And that's hard to run a business on. Originally, when I started this business, we had intended to charge a percentage of assignment fee to connect buyers and sellers. That sounded really good in my brain, because Airbnb does that and all these people do that. Here's the big problem with what we've built. And I don't know if this is interesting to you guys, but I think it's kind of cool. The problem is that you can't transact real estate online. Therefore, you can't swipe a credit card. Therefore, you cannot be the middleman. It's completely impossible. And I don't think that's going to change in our lifetime. I don't think counties are trying to update themselves. I don't think title companies are trying to move. None of that is possible. And there's no nationwide title company. And I know this because I'm ex-head of sales at Empora Title. Shout out to them. They're definitely one of the best. But title is a very thankless work and very challenging and really hard to scale at all. And so what we had to do was figure out how to actually make money. And what's interesting, Lana and Rachel, like here's where this becomes kind of an interesting play. We figured out that lenders will pay to access our leads, pay to access people who want to get funding. So like if you guys are looking at deals on Offa, it now has this like delightful free service, but very similar to Zillow. Whenever you go on Zillow and like if you don't have a realtor, you say, hey, contact this sell side agent. And they're like, cool, we'll have Jessica Smith, this realtor, contact that agent. They're paying for that lead. And so that's what we had to figure out. It took us a full 8 months to figure that out because we kept trying over and over again. Do we charge wholesalers $200? Do we charge buyers $20? And we just kept hitting this like brick wall of no one wants to pay for anything on the internet. And it is cool. Like what we do is cool, but the challenge is cool does not pay the software developers. You know what I mean? But I will say I'm super proud that we've just figured this out where we like connect lenders and borrowers. And that has been like gangbusters over the last month.
Oh, okay. So talk a little bit more about like how that, like, do you have like a specific situation where this has been like really successful connecting the buyers and the lenders?
Yeah, so you guys know the game of when you're looking, like, as a real estate investor, let's talk about it from our side of the house first. Have you guys ever worked with, like, bigger lending firms like Kiavi?
No.
Not actually on a deal, but no.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So
I've done, like, the
my
online
experience,
stuff with Chaser, getting, like, pre-approvals and things with Chase just to see if they would give me a better rate, but never worked with any of them. Yeah.
how about Rachel? How about like any of the hard money or private money lenders? Have you ever done anything with those or the fix and flip
No.
lenders?
Nope.
So it's literally just wholesaling, but now they're wholesaling debt. So give you your 20-second MBA for how this works. Basically, there's these hedge funds that want to make money, right? Put all this money together. And then there's these brokers who are like they call them the originators who actually create the loan, do all the paperwork and all the work to actually make that loan happen. And then there's another layer of brokers, and there's like an infinite kind of layer of brokers. And very often, whenever someone personally refers you to a lender, you're getting a 1, 2, 3, 4 point origination because you're paying off 4 different people in that chain of command. Do you see what I'm saying? And this really like ends up hurting the borrower, but when we're doing these creative and off-market deals, or like, a lot of real estate's messy. That's the whole reason why we're in it. We make money from that, but it is messy, And when you're getting that debt, it gets messy. That is, so both sides are wholesaling, which is kind of crazy. It's just an arbitrage game forever. But that's what's really interesting about the debt side is that as a borrower, specifically in the off-market or like investment space, there's 10 to 20,000 active lenders at a time. But they're constantly changing their programs, how much they're willing to lend to, what credit score they're doing. And so what's kind of cool about this is some of the borrowers on Offa have been really happy because they have to actually do the work. You got to go out there and hunt for lenders. And so you just go to Offa, you click, hey, get financing. You put in, you have a 750 credit score. Now we have, 5, 6, 7 lenders reaching out to you saying, here's my program. Here's what I offer. Like, let me know if I can talk to you. Great. Mm-hmm. Trying to smooth over that process. And those lenders are very happy to pay for that lead to connect with you. And I can't disclose names, but we have 2 of the top lenders in the nation, and we're expecting to get another 10 or 20. And that creates a sustainable business, right? Like it's a useful thing for a borrower. So you go onto Offa, you find a deal that you like, and instead of you now having to go back and fight to like find someone who's going to fund this deal, you just click get financing, pop your credit score, boom, lenders start talking to you immediately. Now we can keep the machine of investing going faster. And of course, it's always up to you. Like for me, I've had lenders I do not jive with. They don't respond fast enough. You guys, I see your faces nodding. You know it, right? Yeah. Like there's, and you know what's so sad? Tell me, have you guys experienced this? Times you'll work with a lender, and it'll be really great on the first deal, and number 2, not terrible. Like what happened? Like this, I've experienced over and over again.
Yeah, like I think it's maybe they think that they kind of like won you over. They like won your business before, and so now they don't have to like have that sense of urgency or like keep like earning your trust, or like it's almost like the investor's expected to keep building that relationship, improving ourselves, but the lending side isn't. Isn't
that funny?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think the dream for everyone in the lending industry, it's the same thing with the wholesalers. All the wholesalers want is like a nice list of VIP buyers. But the problem is, like, I think we all just kind of suffer from a little bit of greed overdosing, Wholesalers like push their fees up so high that the math doesn't make sense, and then they lose the deal. Like a lot, I think you and I were talking about this, where there's a deal that you saw on Offa. You're like, it would be good if they had a more reasonable assignment fee of not like 30 or 40K. Like it's just, I think it's the problem. We all know there's money to be made. And real estate's so unique because you only can sell it once. So you have to get the highest price each time. But it's the same thing with lending. Only one person gets to win that loan. And so they get greedy with origination points and interest rates and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's just an interesting topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very. I'm interested in because we had a conversation about this on the phone like last week or whatever, and I'm really interested in this model, like how it works and the success you've been seeing with it and stuff. So
yeah, well, Alana, let me tell you this. So as a person who creates real estate content, here's what's even cooler. So for someone like me, I'm always building a marketplace. I'll give you my prediction of the actual technology landscape. I live in San Francisco. I don't know if I told you guys that. So I'm right here at like one of the top of the hills in San Francisco. So that means I go to events every week and all everyone can talk about is AI. Here's the good and the bad of AI in the real estate tech world. I won't use the name of the company, but like a friend of mine who owns a company that does ARV solutions, like they basically like tell you what the ARV of a property is. They got really, really successful. And then they started failing because of AI. And the question is why? Well, when you have AI that can basically build whatever someone else is presenting to you, you're always fighting to zero. Do you see what I'm saying? Like what's happening with these other companies in the AI space is like, oh, I want an ARV tool. Maybe you use Deal Machine or whatnot. But if Deal Machine becomes $200, $300, and that's not the part I'm talking about, but let's just say it's them, you might say, could ChatGPT do this better? Could Claude or some other solution do this better? And by the way, those are only $20 a month. And that is what's happening to a lot of software companies. They'll build this thing, they'll put a ton of energy into it. They're like, oh, we have this really cool product. And users are now like, yeah, but couldn't I build it myself? And so that's what's really beautiful and like very defensible about our space. You cannot, the whole reason why, and I'm sorry if I'm getting like wave me down if I'm getting too much, guys. But like the whole reason why like Facebook or YouTube or Airbnb or even like Netflix is unbreakable is those are really marketplaces. They're technology companies, but they're marketplaces between like two parties that want to connect, but they have to do it through a certain like avenue, and that is that avenue. And so that's what Offa is. And what's beautiful is like we built this platform where all these wholesalers come in. I don't know how much you guys know about technology companies, but when it comes to organic growth, that's like the dream is people organically coming to Offa. Alana, you heard about us through Henry Washington call? Is that how you heard about us?
yeah, yep.
Okay,
I was
cool.
on the call and I didn't know like what call I was really joining, but you were kind of like facilitating it, and I'm like. I literally, I'm sorry, but while you were talking on the call, I downloaded the app, like while you were still talking. I'm like, that's so cool. What challenges, like, did you face, like, when you were creating the platform? I'm technologically, not smart. So I'm just curious, like, how long did it take you to, like, from coming up with this idea to, like, implementing it to, getting wholesalers and all that? How long did that take, or what were the challenges?
There's like an infinite number of challenges. We already talked about revenue, where it's hard to get like people to be willing to pay for just about anything now, right? And that's fair. Like I don't want to pay for things either. Like listen, like the one thing I think is like really interesting about being a founder is like we have very specific things that we want, but also if you exercise empathy, you're like, yeah, of course you want it for free. Everyone wants everything for free. Like of course you do. Like obviously, right? That's like the dream is free. The biggest challenge we experienced building Offa was getting our first 100 wholesalers. How do you get someone to invest the energy and the time to actually post their deals? Like, there's lots of like coding issues, like, oh, I uploaded a photo and it broke. Oh, like, if you a really specific stupid problem is like iPhones take images in a thing called .heic, which is not a JPEG or a PNG, and our system was like breaking with that. Little tiny things like that aren't that interesting. What is more challenging and why like we're so valuable now is getting those wholesalers to know, like, and trust us. Because like Alana, I don't remember how long you've been on, but if you look at Offa, it's changed quite a bit. And we had to learn that wholesalers refuse to put in addresses, but also we need to show a dot in a map. How do I fix that? And the solution was to give the wholesaler the ability to hide the address because they want you to call them and like get the conversation going. And we had a lot of internal debate about this because I've been buying from wholesalers for years. I hate having to call them to get a full address. That's annoying. I don't like doing it as a buyer. but we have to cater to both sides. That's like the biggest learning of Offa, and when you're building any kind of like marketplace, or a community is a better way to say it. But like, we got to keep the wholesaler happy, and we got to keep the buyer happy. I'll tell you one more interesting problem when it comes to challenges. V, right? I feel like ARV is an art, after repair value, for those that aren't familiar with that acronym. But ARV, like anyone's ARV can be different. I quite literally attended a hackathon recently where we were building a product for appraisals. And appraisals are like, as we all know in real estate investing, are like so subjective and ridiculous. Like the things that they appraise on are kind of like wild sometimes. But the same thing for ARV. And we spent a lot of time thinking, and not building, but thinking, should we build an ARV tool? And the end result, interestingly enough, was no. And this is a big challenge when you're building things. Do we do this? Oh, a user said they wanted it. Cool. But do a lot of users want it? Also, like, is it actually valuable? Because there's so many other ARV tools. And most importantly, we had to keep our sellers happy. Like, how happy would you be, Rachel, if you dropped a wholesale deal and you said, hey, it's selling for 100K, it's worth 250, and our system was like, actually, it's worth 120. Like, you're not going to be happy. I think you're going to be mad at us. I think you're not going to bring your deal back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of that is just the learning of how to keep all parties happy and how to keep them retained. Often it will die next week if we have no more deals online,
Yeah.
So like, it's a constant like elliptical of like figuring out how to get buyers and sellers simultaneously. But we're 8 months in now, 9 months in, I think. And no, it's been going really fantastically. And like, we're on target this year to be in like the millions of dollars in revenue, specifically from the lender leads. And that's what's like really powerful. And I would expect on your social very soon, you'll start seeing ads of me on there talking about like lending or borrowing or like using Offa. We've done zero advertising so far, by the way. Like, we went to Bigger Pockets and we got featured in like Bigger Pockets and in Morning Brew, and like, Henry Washington does content about us all the time. But yeah, we've done all this with zero marketing budget.
No homies and houses.
We appreciate it. Like, this is what we love. We love podcasts and content. It's great.
Do you know how many people are doing deals on your app so far? Like, or is there a way to track that? I don't know. I'm also not technologically advanced at all. So, but yeah, that, and then what are your expectations for the app within the next few years?
Yeah. So Rachel, I can tell you that we buy a bunch of data, which means I can see when a property transacts. The challenge is that when you sign up for Offa right now, you give us your first name and your last name, but that might not be your legal name. And whenever you're looking at transactional records, the only way for me to like say, hey, this person is actually this buyer is very challenging. People buy in LLCs, they buy in land trusts. So it's harder to say. I can tell you that we've had, hold on, I'll look up the exact number. More than 10,000 deals have been posted on Offa so far. That's pretty cool, right? I can tell you that I think we're like 1,400 wholesalers using Offa on a regular monthly basis. Also really cool. Like, all of that feels really good. I can tell you we've made, like 100,000 connections with buyer to wholesaler. So like, also great for their business because they're getting buyers for free effectively. Most of our users are still free. We have a $200 subscription to see all your buyers and all your viewers, but most wholesalers use it for free, and like, full transparency, guys, like, wholesalers are hard to charge, and they also have the deals. So we don't want to squeeze them out. So it's complicated. But this comes back to, Rachel, at the very beginning of our business. We were going to charge wholesalers that assignment fee or something in there. We realized it's impossible. You can't actually do it. Wholesalers have way more time and it's big dollars. So they're willing to like kind of cheat you out of the scenario. But we don't know how many deals are getting done. We just know the connection. What we can track, we do know.
Mm-hmm. Especially investors, I feel like I buy every property under a different LLC now. So I can see why that would be hard for analytics.
You know what's funny about that, Alana? I don't know if you've like heard the conversations politically, but like, there's a lot of like political will to stop people from buying so much, and like stop like, basically like, what they really want is like these big private equity companies to stop buying so many single family homes, because it's not a problem right now, or it's not like impactful right now, but it will be. If this keeps going on for the next 5-10 years, it will be massive. There'll be like, most places will be rental and no one's going to own anything. Only private equity companies will. But the challenge is, Alana, think about what you just said. How do they track how many properties you own? Because you don't actually own it. You might own the LLC. And then the question is, do we limit the quantity of LLCs a person can own? Because you probably can't do that either. Because
Yeah.
like I, like you, own what, 20 LLCs. So like it's actually really hard to regulate. But yeah, I agree. Like the tracking in real estate is nightmarish.
Yeah, I've never thought about like that side of it, so I'm glad you asked that, Rachel. Yeah. One thing I wanted to touch on is just I love the marketing of it's the Tinder of off-market real estate because you like swipe on like yes on this property, no on this property, and I think that's genius
Yeah.
in
Well,
our
thank you.
like how to target new investors coming up and investors that are like around our age, millennials. I
And
don't know. I feel like it just works really good, and I think the marketing is so clever. So did you come up with that yourself, the Tinder of off-market real
Did
estate?
a lot of, I've actually built two different dating apps in my life. So what isn't that funny? Neither of them successful. I've been chronically single for a lot of years. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm openly gay. Like finding a husband and like having children is like my aspiration. All that's really challenging.
Yeah.
All these things are like hard to do and hard to find, even in like a big city. And so I thought dating apps were really interesting because I feel like I don't drink that much. I drink, but not that much. And so I
Yeah.
don't have time to go to bars, and like meeting people physically is really challenging, especially in the queer world. Because I've a sad story is one time I got the chutzpah to go like hit on a guy at a grocery store, and I got punched in the face. And so like those kinds of
Not funny.
experiences change your
Not
life.
funny.
Terrible, but
It
like
wasn't what I was
also.
expecting you to say though, so I was I was shocked. That's
And
cool.
you know what? Like those experiences really change your life where you're like, well, I'm never doing that again. I'm never like
Mhm.
taking those
Right.
risks. And so like the dating app experience is always very interesting. And I've used a lot of them because you have to in the queer world. I don't know who's gay. I don't really have a choice. Like I have to use this. And I always
Yeah.
thought to myself when I started real estate investing, because I'm sure Alana and Rachel, you're probably the same. You have a spreadsheet or you have a VA that helps you fill a spreadsheet and you go through all these deals. And you're like, does this deal make sense? Over and over and over and over again. And I just thought to myself, why can't I just swipe? That's all I wanted. And this was in 2020. And so I built, again, my dream. What I wanted was that. And that's what made sense to me.
Yeah. The parallel between like what happened to you like meeting up with someone at a grocery store or whatever and like real estate investing, there's some parallels to that too because you don't always know like what you're going to get, whether it's from the person you're meeting at the house, like when I went to look
Yeah.
at that one that we talked about last 2 weeks ago or whatever, and it was like, oh, this is like 135,000. It's just like sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get, and I feel like the app kind of helps give you the information you need before you show up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I feel
Well,
like
your
it
experience, I
definitely
mean,
helps
you
us
two's
along the way.
experience is so much different than mine. I'm 6'5" and I'm 270 pounds. I'm a big white man. Where like you two are young, beautiful women, and you have to go walk through these like trap houses with these like wholesalers who are known to be problematic. So,
Yeah.
we have very different investing experiences. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I would encourage you to carry weapons, but like I don't think you should not do that. You know what I'm saying?
I bought a pepper spray gun. It's called a Berna, and it looks like a real gun. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that it's not a real gun on here, but it does have like pepper spray bombs in it. And
Wow.
I mean, I think
yeah,
it's a good idea. Like it's a weird, like real estate investors are a weird breed in a weird world. Um, Wholesalers are definitely special.
yeah, yeah. So what is something to wrap up here? Because
Sure.
I know you have to get going. What is something
Yeah.
that like you would encourage investors that are looking for off-market deals? Obviously, download Offa. I can speak to it. It's awesome. I can't wait till there's until it blows up even more and there's people more in Minnesota too that are using it. But like, what is something that you would say, being an investor with 56 stores, I think you said, in 8 years, and the creator of this platform? Like, what is some words of encouragement that you would give?
I think it all just comes down to finances. Like, get really good at math. I have like, I'll make you guys laugh. Okay, my very first property. I had no idea what I was doing. I bought it in all cash. I did the rehab in all cash, and I was like, "Oh, how do I advertise the rental?" And so I'm not kidding. I quite literally hired 3 drag queens, and I made a commercial. Like, I will have to send you this video. It is truly I was making so much money during the pandemic. It was so nonsense. It
I
was
think
so
it's
funny.
important you send us the video.
We'll send you the video. It is truly ridiculous. But what this was is I was thinking I could advertise to a specific community and get a higher rate like for rental. And in the end, there was market rate, and like all I did was put it on, Zillow or whatever, and like I got market rate. You're not going to get like $200, $300, $400 more. And so, as a chronic optimist, I think it's super important to be really cognizant of like the actual money and the actual spend. And the thing that I'm bad at, I don't know about you guys, but I am bad at estimating rental at the rehab. And like I don't enjoy obsessing over it and like counting every penny. And so in the end, it's all a spreadsheet. In the end, it is an actual asset. And in the end, like you have to plan for CapEx. And that's like the thing where I think a lot of investors will blow up it'll blow up in their face because you didn't do the math right. And so I think that's where it starts. And obviously, as an investor, if you're doing like higher volume like I do, your biggest expense is debt. And so like really understanding debt. Like don't let this be a thing that like you just trust one lender or like say, oh, they'll take care of me. It doesn't work, That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was such a privilege to have you on here. I just think that you're so cool, and I follow you on social media and stuff, obviously. So we will get the word out about AFA, and
What's your
Appreciate
social
you guys.
media?
Oh yeah, what's your social media?
Yeah, it's at Ken G. Barton. I'll send it over to you guys.
Perfect. And I will I'll post that as well and tag you and collaborate so that others can start using AFA.
Thank you so much. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks. Bye,
Thank
Ken.
you.